Michael, we begin tonight back over in Milano Cortina as we're now starting. We last week we opened with the start of the 2026 Olympiad. We're now full bloom with it. By the time this gets posted, we'll be getting ready for men's gold medal hockey and closing ceremonies, and then from there, we'll recap that on next. We'll recap the final weekend on next week's show, and then really start to turn our attention towards 2030 in the French Alps. But last week when we talked, it was mostly about the men. This week, it's all about the ladies.
Absolutely, and it's been a phenomenal week for especially for US women. And let's talk about today, James, and let's talk about the gold medal winning US women's hockey team. What a game today. I mean, I know I said it before we started talking about this. They beat Canada's ass last week. I mean, just took them to the woodshed.
Yeah,
And I you watched the entire game today. I actually watched the condensed game earlier. I wanna know where Canada decided to play defense like that because they were phenomenal for the first 3 plus first 2 3-quarter periods, and then all of a sudden, the US got that what, with, like, a minute 34 left in regulation? Or is it 2:34?
17:56 of the third period, so at 2:14 left in the
2:14.
third period. The just let's go over the numbers. With and we'll talk the men here in this segment as well as the semifinals will be on Friday. We're taping this on Thursday night, just a few hours after the women's gold medal game. So the United States, this was almost kind of written in the stars with as dominant as they've been in this tournament. The US wins 2-1 in overtime. They outscore their opponents 33 to 2 in this
Yeah.
tournament. The only two goals they give up is a goal in the first period of their opener, which seemed to be a bit of a fluky goal, and then Kristen O'Neal's on a shorthanded for Team Canada 54 seconds into the second period. It's the only time in the entire tournament the United States trailed, and it was for realistically 48 minutes of this tournament until you know they call her Red Knight and Blue for a reason. The captain, Hillary Knight, redirects a pass from Cleveland's own Layla Edwards and ties the game at one, sending the United States contingent there in the arena into an absolute frenzy. What a great goal and a great redirection by Hillary Knight.
Oh, and it was a phenomenal play. I mean, Edwards set her up real nice with that one. Now, Jim, correct me if I'm wrong. You're more the hockey person I am. Was she trying to pass that puck to her, or was that a shot on goal that she just redirected?
Oh no, that's a design play. That's something that players realistically in the last 10 years have really gone to do is just throw it at the net and then you've got your power forward instead of screening, they're kind of looking for those tips and those redirections. So that had to be a design play.
Okay. Um, and then the goal in overtime, dude. What? No, I forgot about the two-line pass in international hockey because when it went over those 2 lines, I'm like, "Wait a minute,
Yeah,
that's gonna
they
be
eliminated
offside."
the red line is only there really, I wanna say that they made that change right, for the NHL, and then the IIHF adopted it for international competition right around, I wanna say, the 2004 lockout. They canceled the postseason for the Stanley Cup, so they eliminate the red line. The red line is only there for icing and center ice faceoff, so you can do, end-to-end passing as long as you can touch up, on the blue line by the time you take possession. But a phenomenal, phenomenal pass by arguably my favorite female hockey player and certainly my favorite player in the PWHL, Taylor Heisey of the Minnesota Frost, the back-to-back defending Walter Cup champion Minnesota Frost, hits Megan Keller, no relation to uh, um I can't think of his name from Utah, Clayton Keller. And Keller basically put that defenseman on a turnstile with the move and then puts home the golden goal at 4:07 of overtime to give the United States their third Olympic gold medal. Uh, w- the United States played, I thought once they got down, they just seemed a little tight in this game. I'm not sure if it was,
Yep.
you know, I we mentioned it right before we came on that um the absolute taking Canada to the woodshed 9 days ago and shutting them out 5-0. First time the US has ever shut out Canada in women's hockey in international competition like that, certainly on the Olympic stage. It almost seemed like, and stay with me here for a minute. It almost gave that Miracle on Ice feeling where the Americans played the Soviets 3 days before Lake Placid, and the Soviets hung 10 on the US, and then the US kinda used that to move forward. So Canada almost seemed to take that 5-0 drubbing in the preliminary round and use it and be able to play the US very tough, because after that, after O'Neill's goal, it's almost like they brought back the 1995 Devils with the trapping in the zone, and the US really just couldn't get their momentum. They couldn't get their shots. They weren't as crisp. They certainly played a little bit more physical. They turned the puck over a little bit more. Um, their opportunities were there. They had a couple of really good chances in that third period before Knight's equalizer. And we're going to talk about Hillary Knight here in a couple of moments. What a week she's had. Um, but it just takes one. It just takes one.
Yeah, and she provided that one. And how hard was it for you to not say she put the defender on skates?
I mean, she really did. It's just that move.
Oh,
Even everyone I've seen reacting, including Bar Down, who is like, I've been watching them as part of, TSN for years, which TSN, for those of you who don't know, is essentially like Canada's ESPN. Um essentially. Even they were saying that was an all-world move that Megan Keller put on that defenseman, just going in and out, and for a defenseman to do that against the defenseman is just what an absolute stunner of a goal. There's some people saying that the goal itself was a bit of a softie with the way that it got through, but it's all set up by the move.
absolutely. I mean, that was one of the best moves I've ever seen. Not to sound like this, but if that's done, that exact move is done in the men's championship game, the sports media world's going to go off the off the fucking rails. I
Absolutely.
mean, I was floored because I first saw the goal on TikTok. I was flipping through earlier, saw the goal, and I'm like, wait, wait, what a team.
Before we shift over, the shutout streak that the brings home a gold medalist in defenseman uh, Layla Edwards. And how great is it that one of the first things that you see posted out on social media after they had all retired back to the with the goal to tie it in the Olympics. Um, she captains the arguably the greatest Olympic team we've ever seen, and the most dominant US team we've ever seen, arguably men's or women's, since they've started using professionals. Um, and then on Tuesday, Hillary Knight got engaged to her longtime girlfriend, speed skater Brittany Bowe. Um, in the fourth in that event earlier this week, but she's also going for gold in the 1500 tomorrow, where she's a former world record holder. She lost the 1,000 meter. She finished fourth, but the gold went to Jutta Leerdam from the Netherlands. That name should sound familiar if you're, especially if you're from Cleveland. That's Jake Paul's fiance.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah,
Okay. Um,
so Jake Paul was
yeah.
over there, congratulating her. It's one of the few likable things that Jake Paul's really ever done in the last 5 years. He was in tears after her time went up on the board.
Oh, yeah. No, I saw that. And I was genuine for the fact. Listen, that intense to this, Jake.
Bringing home, but she got the most precious medal of all of them at that point.
Amen.
You know, Exactly. So, congratulations to both of them. But now let's shift over very quickly to the men, because the men's semifinal will be on Friday. By the time this airs, we'll be actually getting ready for to tune in for the gold and bronze medal games. So we've got in the first game tomorrow, we've got the United States as the 2 seed playing Slovakia, and then we've got in the late game tomorrow, we've got overall first seed Canada playing Finland. Sydney, his Olympics are not a win over um know what his stats are going to be for my finals tomorrow, or even how effective they're absolutely either. If they're going
Back to Sydney Colvin, not sit there. Canada's really job done, and they're on a collision course to seeing a comparison. Right, we are looking at the biggest since the miracle on this. If they get
you think about the three 1960 at Squaw Valley, of Sweden might be one of the 5 best players in the world right now for the showcase that he put on in this tournament, especially the goal that he had, that was Sweden's lone tally in that game. Mike, we stay over in Milan, and we actually mentioned what a day for the women, what a week for the women, especially the American women. We've actually seen we're wrapping up the speed skating. We've actually now started to see some of the downhill skiing. Um, we've got bobsled. We had the figure skating today. So just a few things on the docket here. Um, it's Michaela Schifrin's world, and we're all living in it.
Amen.
Years old, case we the Schifrin.
I I, I thought she was.
It's because of how dominant Michaela Schifrin has been, and she's only arson of took Schifrin's
On YouTube the other day, and I got to tell you, Jim, as good as Lindsey Vaughn was in her prime, I think Michaela Schifrin right now might be better than Lindsey was in her prime, for one reason and one reason only: the way she works the edges.
over everybody. Michael, the one that you actually told name. First time Bob's as she, Laura Nolta through the mono Bob. 7th all the way up with today. Wasn't, but turn 13. She had Griswold way that she was she going to lose it because she was going too fast? Would she had a couple of bumps here or there, and she just found a way to just accelerate and just win this thing. So she had the lead. I want to say by 0.12 before Nolta's final run, and Nolta had come ahead, but then she had started to lose time right around the same time that Myers Taylor was picking it up.
Yeah, no, I watched Myers Taylor's run. Obviously, her little one was there with her husband, and it was so cute. I'm the big softy when it comes to stuff like that. It looked to me, was it turn 12, Jim, that had the really high side? If you're looking straight
Yes,
down the chute on the left,
yes, yes.
it
Turn
looked like
12.
she was going to go over. She
Yeah,
was flying, and I thought she was going to go over. When she got out of that, you knew she was going to win.
yeah. And that's weird because, and I'm glad that you brought that up because you notice with Humphrey's run 2 runs before that she took a little bit of a lower line, and that's why I say it was so clean. But I think that's what Myers Taylor knew she kind of had to do is she had to go high in that to be able to get the speed coming out of it.
Yeah, she definitely was looking to accelerate around the turns as opposed to playing it safe to not flip the damn sled, which I think is what won her the gold medal, especially by such a short amount of time.
Exactly. And just the most decorated woman in American bobsled history. She's got 5 previous medals at the Olympics. She never won gold until Tuesday. It's the first monobob gold of world champion. Gold team or 2 women, uh, 1 silver stars because she was
Topic. And
it's
I tell you what, hockey guy, a pilgrimage.
documentary
that you should go?
We talk gold have to now about and has brought gold
Probable run by Long Island native Sarah. No, oh, Salt Lake City
Salt Lake City.
too. I got
Thing that on the broad see is that she was there, and then saying Alyssa Liu hadn't even been born yet when Sarah Hughes won that medal.
well, Sarah Hughes was like what 19 when she won hers.
I want to say so.
Yeah, she was young. Um,
It,
but by the way, I mentioned this to you the other day, and it does seem to me that all the upsets happen on the women's side. Sasha Cohen was supposed to win that thing going away. She ends up winning the silver. Sarah Hughes wasn't even supposed to medal. She wins the gold. I mean, Alyssa Liu, I don't know much about her. Was she high on the international rankings? What was the story, or is this just somebody who caught fire?
she she was, and I'm going to come back to that here in a moment because it's the redemption arc of the century. If you think about it here, so she retired 2.5 years ago, and I'm going to bring that back up in a moment. But silver goes to Kaori Sakamoto from Japan, and then bronze goes to Amy Nakai, also from Japan. Um, with Alyssa Liu, she was the youngest. She was the youngest woman to win the U.S. national championship when she won it in 2009 at age 13.
Jesus.
She I mentioned she retired 2.5 years ago. That's because she finished 6th in Beijing in 2022 when she was supposed to medal, if not top the podium. And then she took 3rd at the World Championships a year later. She was burnt out. She basically, at that point, was 17. She needed a regular life. She enrolled at UCLA. She started hanging out with her friends. And then I guess she went on like a family vacation and then just got the itch to jump back on the ice and then just started training again and came back. And how good was her final performance in the long program tonight in the free skate? For her to overtake uh uh Sakamoto for the lead, she needed 141.3 points. She got 150.2.
Yeah, because she won by a decently good margin. Because you don't see figure skating, it comes down a tenth of a point here, maybe a half a point there. She cleared her by what, 4 points easy?
Easily, because now what they've actually started doing is they do like real time technical skills, and I want to say that Sakamoto, her technical score was somewhere around like 74. Lou, by the time she got done, was in the low 80s,
Oh, nice.
and then how great was it? Is because she's skating off the ice and she looks right at the camera, the NBC camera, and goes, Um, I'm trying to word it properly here. That's how we fucking do it. And she's got,
Yes.
very, very colorful young woman. She's got, the Mercedes Monet ringed, colored hair. So it's like she's got like that dark ring, like right in the center, with the way that she's dyed. It looks like she's got braces. She doesn't. Like the inner thing inside her lip is pierced with like one of those spiked barbells
Nice.
that would be like, that you would think would be like an earring or a nipple ring or a belly button ring or something like that. So, she's kind of got like, whenever she smiles, she's got like these little devil horns on her front teeth. So she's definitely, um, yeah, yep.
And it's a beautiful smile. Her hair reminds me of that of a lemur.
And we mean that with all due respect because that's, her being alternative. She performed to a Donna Summer song today.
Oh, it wasn't Last Dance, was it?
No, no.
Okay, good. Because I would that's one of my favorite disco songs of all time, and my father being basically the friggin' disco duck for it, I would have to watch that over and over again because I love that song. But
Yeah,
no, it didn't for Hot Stuff.
go ahead.
Holy shit, did she do Hot Stuff?
No, she did it was MacArthur Park Suite,
No shit.
and I stand corrected. She actually said, "That's what I'm fucking talking about."
I love that shit.
She even said that she didn't she quote, "I don't need this medal. What I needed was that stage, and I got that, so it was all good no matter what happened." And
Good for her.
how classy was she? Because when they threw, um and Amy Nakai's score up, and remember Nakai scored bronze here with that, and even after Sakamoto had the lead, there were a lot of people saying that Nakai had everything available to be able to overtake and win gold and bump Alyssa Liu to silver. Um, she immediately jumped up and celebrated, but the first thing she did was run over to Amy Nakai, and they just like, some people said she was consoling her. No, they were both celebrating, and then after that, she goes over and throws a big bear hug on Nakai's coach.
I didn't see any of the things. I saw that she had won. I of course when I get home at night, it's kid, bath, the whole 9 yards. I did do a little bit of reading to be ready for this evening. But listen, man, it gives me a lot of pride when I see, especially, especially somebody who could be our kid, dude, uh, win something like this and the hard work that goes into it. And it swells my heart. It really does.
And you
Now
also
we just
figure
need
with her
Canadian
only being
tears.
20, if she doesn't burn herself out again, she might have two more Olympics left in her.
If she came back and won a gold after taking some time off like that, I don't think she'll burn out again. I think she's figured out how she needs to balance things. And unfortunately, as a parent of a athlete, and I'm not talking about Bobby now, I'm talking about Zach. Um, I knew what to look for with burnout with him because he was a great runner, dude. I know I'm biased, but he was a phenomenal runner. And you learn what you have to do as you get older and you keep doing it. I think she's going to be fine. I think we will see her for a couple more Olympics if that's what she wants to do. And if not, go out this way. Good
It
God,
would
go out this way.
yeah, as much as we would love to actually see what she can do with another 4 years, up in the French Alps in 2030, it's a perfect it's like they've been calling it all day, and I said earlier, it is the ultimate redemption arc, possibly for these entire games.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. It's what an amazing, amazing run she had. Um, the only thing missing now are Canadian tears.
And the last, you know, something else we can look forward to with US women. The US women four woman curling team is now into the semifinals after a clutch win earlier today against the Swiss, who are heavily favored to medal. So the U.S. women are into the semis. They could have actually
Yes.
clinched that, but then they lose in an extra frame on a heartbreaker to Great Britain back on Wednesday. They actually end up winning in an extra frame today over the Swiss, and there's part of me that's I don't want to say a little bit sad of that, but it's kind of Pyrrhic victory because I've been watching a lot of curling, and there is a Swiss curler that have basically kind of like she's definitely caught my eye. She's not jump off the page hot, but she is just damn pretty, and it even makes it better the fact that she's a five-time world champion.
Get it. Hey, real quick before we wrap this up, did you see what that 17-year-old kid did on the friggin' the snowboard course?
Eileen Gu.
No, the guy.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. It's because I know Eileen Gu fell in her first run, but she qualified for the finals.
No, this kid, 17 years old, should still be in high school. He hit two 1600s. One of them included a backflip to go with it, and then the last row, I couldn't count how many times the damn kid rotated and did two flips. It was insanity.
I'm gonna probably end up watching that after we log off here tonight or sometime tomorrow. So get as much action of these Olympics as you can because we're not going to see anything again until 2028 in Los Angeles, and God knows what that's going to look like.
I think that'll be fine because remember, baseball's back. So, Jim, we've spent a very big part of the show talking about the Olympics, not only because it's been an amazing Olympics, but of course, the U.S. teams have done really well, winning multiple medals. And of course, we have the great individual medals that have been won as we go along. But, Jim, I want to get into what the rest of the country calls their favorite sport because they're a bunch of degenerate gamblers and bring up some stuff going on in the NFL. I want to talk about two teams real quick, two that we've been very critical of and very well, we've taken a lot of pot shots at them over the past several years. One of them being the Miami Dolphins, who have released everybody and most of Tyreek Hill's baby mamas this offseason to go with hiring two new neurologists for Tua. And of course, our Cleveland Browns, who didn't have an offensive line on the field last year and now don't have one on the roster. So let's start in South Beach, Jim, and let's talk about what Miami has done. And they have released stud offensive linemen. They've released Tyreek Hill. They've released multiple other players on both sides of the ball, and basically have punted on 2026 in a division that really you don't know who's going to win it because you got the Bills coming back down to earth. You got my New England coming off an AFC championship and a Super Bowl appearance, but they're going to have a first place schedule. And of course, the fucking Jets.
I mean, at least
Uh,
Miami won't finish in the basement. At least we don't think. Although they're quickly in a race to the bottom because Miami's basically selling off the farm, and the Jets, no matter how much money that they throw every year, can never get anything to stick and come up.
well, I mean, come on. You're talking about a team that um, sold its soul to win a Super Bowl. And yes, I've seen Little Nicky in the last couple of months. And yeah, Joe was going there anyway. But the real big thing about this, going back to the Dolphins, is this is a team that basically sold its identity to draft a quarterback a few years ago. Then they paid him the big money, and it hasn't worked out. You and I you living there still, and me having ties to Cleveland, we know all about the franchise reboots. We're on what, number 9?
I mean, it's hilarious that they're doing a reboot in the middle of a reboot here in Cleveland.
It's a fourth wall break in the middle of the fourth wall break. Um, I've seen Deadpool one too many times. Jim, so let me ask you this: with Miami, is this timed right, or is this they waited too long?
The answer is yes, because it's actually both. And
Okay.
and I don't even think Miami realizes it here. It's because, um, you know, you go out and you trade the multiple picks to get Tyreek Hill. You go out and you trade the multiple picks to get Jalen Ramsey from the Rams, who, ironically enough, spent a bunch of picks themselves, to go out and grab Jalen Ramsey and end up winning a Super Bowl out of it. And then doesn't work out, and Jalen Ramsey ends up, with the Steelers. Um, and you have, if it wasn't for Deshaun Watson, the extension of Tua would actually be the worst contract in football right now. For Yes, he actually has performed adequate, but certainly not up to that contract. Lamar, after he signed that contract, he's got 2 MVPs. He's in the playoffs basically every year, except for this year because he was hurt for 5 games. Josh Allen's been in the AFC Championship game 3 times. He's got an MVP, and he finished runner up this year. Um, Deshaun Watson is going down as the worst contract in the history of the NFL. And arguably, outside of maybe the Babe Ruth trade, there's a lot of people saying it is by far the worst non baseball trade in American sports history. Um, Patrick Mahomes, absolutely, he's first ballot Hall of Famer, second greatest quarterback of all time here. And you got to think maybe with the parity that's involved, if it was a level playing field, him and Brady, could he actually maybe eclipse Brady? Because Brady never actually went on that 3 and 4 year type run or actually had a shot at a three-peat. Mahomes did, and quite honestly, did it with a little bit less at times. Um, but
Yeah.
it's very interesting to see really how bad this has gotten to where they've dump the GM. They dump Mike McDaniel, and then McDaniel ends up as a coordinator, as opposed to, there was a lot of people thinking there was a uh there was he was in line for like the Cleveland job. Could he have taken the Buffalo job? How many jobs he went in, and he actually just goes the coordinator route. Um and then the turnover with the roster. It's almost laughable. If it I mean, at least, Cleveland got their front office in place here, and they can start working forward. Once they figure out their quarterback situation, then they're also going to be able to replenish their receiver and offensive line room. It's going to take them a year or two, but they've got a plan. Miami, I'm going to say it here. Um
Quite frankly, I'm a worthless fucking fat ass who shits his pants.
Miami right
Ooh.
now has got a concept of a plan.
I'm still coughing. Don't do that. But that was amazing.
The Miami Dolphins right now are the LaCroix of NFL teams. They have a hint of flavor in them.
Fruit stripe.
Yeah, but at least Fruit Stripe had flavor for about 5 minutes and then went away. Miami, you really got, just like LaCroix or any of those sparkling seltzers, you almost have to like add Mio or something to be able to get the hint of it.
Yeah. Miami is like fruit stripe because when the weather's warm, they have a plan. When the weather gets cold, they don't know what the fuck to do.
You're not
So
wrong.
speaking of cold weather and well, concepts of a plan, um, James, the entire offensive line and number one tight end for the Cleveland Browns have basically said, "So long, farewell, Auf Wiedersehen, goodbye," to the city of Cleveland. Of course, in joke, I saw the scene from Ted Lasso the other day, hysterical. Um, the Wyatt Teller, of course, the longtime Cleveland offensive lineman, has written the social media. I will always love you, and I believe with these players that play for the Browns, that they honestly believe that. David Njoku has also said he will not be returning to the Cleveland Browns. Njoku is a little easier to swallow because Harold Phantom was so good, especially his rapport with Shador. But now let's talk about a bottom third offensive line that is now non-existent. Um, how do you determine if you have the right quarterback if you don't have anybody in front of him?
Exactly, because right now you've got Ethan Posick, who, definitely is going to be still there for a few more years. You've got Joel Bitonio, it's still up in the air whether or not he's even going to come back, and he'll be a first ballot Hall of Famer when he retires in 5 years, or 5 years after he retires, I should say. Teller's already said he's left, and then there's talk here that they need to go out and get two tackles because KT Levinson is so bad. They actually want to consider moving him to guard and think he could be more effective as a guard.
I've read that too. So real quick, so I don't want to spend too much more time on it because we are going to do a deep dive on what the Browns need in the draft. James, is this leaning towards 6 and 24 being offensive linemen?
You still have to get a receiver in there. I still am thinking, as much as it pains me to say it because I hate the school, I'm still thinking Carnell Tate possibly at 6 if Leonoa or whatever his name is, the kid from Miami, is not there.
Yeah.
And then you go offensive lineman at 24. But one of the other things I actually was hearing is you get a stud offensive lineman at 6, and then you were going to get, I'm trying to remember his name. Boston is the that large wide receiver at 24.
Oh, where's he from? Oh,
Denzel Boston from Washington.
that's right. Now I'll say this. I know you hate the school, but I'm going to use him as a reference here. He played really well against the Buckeyes secondary in that game at Washington early in the season. So that might not be a bad idea. As much as I would love to see Carnell Tate, and of course the Browns fan base would, you got to protect this kid. He could be your guy if you give him the tools. Unfortunately, as we all know, the one thing the Browns don't have are tools other than in the quarterback room.
Yeah, but you always know that. I think that's also part of the reason why Andrew Berry was kept and Stefanski and his staff were let go is Berry's going to be able to manipulate the salary cap how he needs to be able to. He'll restructure Deshaun Watson's deal. He'll restructure Denzel Ward's deal. He may restructure part of Miles Garrett's deal. I guarantee that they'll actually have 30 to 40 million dollars in salary cap room freed up by the time free agency opens here in about 3 weeks, or worst case April 1, to be able to go out and grab some guys. I wouldn't be the least bit surprised that the gentleman from Miami, the offensive lineman who got released, I don't want to say his name is Daniels. That's another one that we talked about. Who was the other receiver in Miami that flopped out?
Waddle.
That they went out. What's that? Jalen
Jalen
Waddle.
Waddle.
Yeah. So who's to actually say, you know, that they don't actually bring that guy in from Miami, even if it might be a slightly reduced salary from what he was making before. But I mean, they're going to be able to go out and bring some guys in. They're going to be able to draft some guys. I think right now the Browns are maybe set up a little bit better because they only had to replace their coaching staff, and they've got that great young defense. They just need to fix the offensive side of the ball. Miami's got problems all over the place, and it's also stemming from the top and moving down. So when your roster is makeshift and you've actually released and are talking about moving a very large chunk of salary that for your roster to be able to try and rebuild that, but you don't but the brain trust is brand new as well. I mean, even the Jets, actually, even though the Jets went out and had new coaches, I mean, they've still got stability with their roster and their brain trust.
Yeah, and there's a lot of jokes you can make about brain trust in Miami, but we'll leave those for another day. This is going to be one of the more interesting NFL off seasons, Jim. I can feel it now.
Would you shut up and just push the button already?
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
It's the YZ Translator on the Wise Guys Sports Show.
I'm forever unclean.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is the YZ Translator. It is the best segment of the night because it is the last segment of the night. It is a time when James and I give each other names inside and outside of the sports world, and we give you the first thing that pops into our heads. It has given us some classic moments. It has given us some head scratching moments. It has also given us the ability to fall over laughing and not recover. So, James, you're very rude. So, James, tonight, your first name and your name in tonight's YZ Translator, excuse me. We talked about him on the phone the other day. UCLA head basketball coach Mick Cronin.
T2, you're gone.
That was amazing.
So for those of you who don't know, in the near the end of the UCLA Michigan State men's basketball game the other night, a game where Michigan State was blowing out UCLA by over 20. The second straight game UCLA was losing by over 20. A UCLA player hard fouled a Michigan State player with about, I want to say, 5.5 minutes to go. While he was going up for a dunk, he got called for a flagrant two. Mick Cronin, the UCLA head coach, turns around and sends the player to the locker room. And Michael, do you want to actually say what Tom Izzo said after the game?
I don't remember what you said to me, but I know he said, didn't he say something about Mick being a good guy or something like that? I can't remember exactly what he said.
It was Mick apparently upgraded him to a flagrant two.
That's right.
I mean,
Oh,
listen,
what do you
that's
got
the
for me?
kind of guy that Mick Cronin is. It's as a UCLA fan, I've been I've seen this several times before, even going back to their Final Four run in the COVID bubble. Where Cronin was before at Xavier. Um, it's
That's where I
definitely
know him from.
something. It's definitely something I've come to expect over the years with Mick Cronin with his fiery tenure. Um, I'm sorry, he was at Cincinnati before. I was actually thinking of um Thad Matta. Um I was thinking of another Ohio coach that actually had gone on to uh a larger major conference school like that. But Thad Matta's another one that would do that. But I don't, I wouldn't. You gotta wonder what like Jim Herrick, Steve Lavin, or even the legendary John Wooden would have ever done something like that.
John Wooden's also the guy who was going to sit Bill Walton if he didn't get a haircut.
John Wooden also won 11 national championships. John Wooden can do whatever the hell he wanted to.
I'm not
He
saying
is
he didn't.
still
I'm just saying.
regardless of the wins record, he's still the greatest of all time. And it's not even, I mean, maybe, Coach Krzyzewski's in that conversation.
I think you have to go Wooden, Bobby Knight, and then Krzyzewski 3.
I think you got to put Krzyzewski above there because of how long he sustained it and the fact that he had five
True.
national titles and Bobby Knight only had the one.
Bobby had more than one.
I think he had maybe two,
He
three
had 2 or 3.
tops.
Yeah, because I know he won the undefeated one we talked about because of Indiana winning undefeated in football. I know he won one with Isaiah. Bobby Knight also had 2 Olympic gold medals too as a coach.
That is true. Yeah, but Mike Krzyzewski also had a couple because remember he was the head coach of the Dream Team,
That was Chuck Daly.
the second one I think, the Redeem
It
Team.
was
You know what? He was the head coach of the Redeem Team. That was the LeBron
with
Kobe.
LeBron, Kobe, D Wade when Kobe said he was running through Powell's chest. Yeah,
Not close. He said he was running through Powell's fucking chest.
fucking chest. Yes, he did. Yeah, I remember that now. Who you got for me, dude?
Michael, yours is not a name as opposed to an entity, and I'm gonna have to do a little bit of editing here on the back end, even more than usual. And I'm going to send you something, and I'm wondering if you've seen this. We talked about dysfunctional franchises earlier on in this show. Now we come into one of my favorite times is pre-draft, where teams are actually now starting to debut new looks. The Atlanta Falcons are going to have a new look before the draft. They're actually talking, sometime in March. I am wondering if you have seen this. It is the proposed leak of the new Tennessee Titans logo. I am sending this to you now. And this is Mike's live reaction.
Why does that look like a butt plug? It does. It looks like a butt plug. What the fuck is that?
I mean, they're going to have their first game in Sydney next year. Does that actually mean that, one of the ambassadors is going to be Angela White?
Never mind that shit. Who's going to yell crikey really loud when they see the fucking thing?
This leads me to one of the other conversations I wanted to have about this. What are your feelings seeing this with those Houston Oiler colors?
It's fitting with what they did to Houston.
See, the weird thing for me about this is that it's almost kind of sacrilegious because, and I'm not trying to draw the conversation of hockey, but it's the best example I can have. When the Winnipeg Jets went back to their name after moving from Atlanta, they didn't take the original Jets. The records and everything came with them, but all the history and everything and the logos and everything were owned by the Arizona franchise, who then abandoned those, and now Winnipeg's got that back to where they're able to wear those old WHA Dale Howard era, you know, the original Timu Solani type jerseys. The Charlotte Hornets, they were the Bobcats, and then they eventually went back to the Hornets altogether and got that whole history. This isn't anything. This isn't. You wouldn't see the the Memphis Grizzlies going back to black and teal like the Vancouver Grizzlies were. You wouldn't see, the Ravens wearing Browns colors, even though they get, I mean, for the sake that they gave those up. You're not going to see, I mean, who's another team? You're not going to see the Washington Nationals dress up like the Expos.
You're not going to see the Oklahoma City Thunder wear green.
Exactly. And that's something that I got into a little bit of a tiff with with somebody on Facebook. This isn't just a couple of throwbacks. This is a whole new identity. I mean, Houston's got their team. Houston could, if they wanted to. I mean, even though that the Oilers, the Titans own that Oiler lineage, so to speak, they didn't get the Browns. They didn't get the Browns deal when they had moved and everything, because that was actually after the Browns had come on, and everything.
Yeah.
Um,
I think the difference being the way everything went down with Cleveland, and that not for nothing, Cleveland is a cornerstone franchise from the old NFL versus AFL days. Remember, they just let the records come back in. The Browns have what, 6, 7 championships that they
yeah,
now
I want to
count.
say 8.
It's a, oh, you're right, it's 8. And this is borderline sacrilege.
It just feels dirty
It
when I
does.
actually when I see, like, there was a game in the NHL a few weeks before the Olympic break where the Hurricanes wore Hartford Whaler jerseys, and the Avalanche were wearing Nordique jerseys.
Okay, so relocated teams that throw back, I have no problem with that. None. I really don't. I have no problem with that. Because of course the Nordiques and the Whalers were, pretty old franchises, and they moved because of reasons. I don't remember why Tennessee left Houston. We all know why Cleveland left. Art, you bastard. Yeah, this feels dirty. And the other
Yeah.
part of the joke is I did compare it to a butt plug, so it should feel dirty. But having
It's
said
just
that, yeah,
it also looks as much as we chastised it, it looks weird without the flames.
it does look weird without the flames. It almost looks like they're trying to merge the old logo and the one they used when Eddie George was there, because that looks really close to that one from that Super Bowl run with him and Steve McNair.
It kind of does, although there's going to be part of me that misses the Toronto Argonaut type uniforms as a fan of CFL football.
Yes. Yes, I remember Flutie.